Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to GETI's Live Talk, hashtag Disruptive Education. I am your host, Zainab Malai, and today we are here with a very special guest, Mr. Rajesh Narula. So, before I introduce my honorable guest to you, let me tell you something about our organization. We started this Live Talk, hashtag Disruptive Education, last year solely with the aim to disrupt education and provide platform to the educators, edupreneurs, and other innovators around the world to come to our platform and share their ideas. So, with this aim to disrupt education, we have hosted around 1100 talks and still counting. So, we have today with us Mr. Rajesh Narula. He is a management consultant and has been working with clients in diverse sectors for their strategic growth. His articles have been published in various journals and newspapers, and he has been a visiting faculty at lead B schools. He is a corporate trainer and has also conducted numerous workshops for teachers and students. He is a semi professional photographer and aspiring musician. Rajesh speaks French and Portuguese and is enthusiastic by the new healthy living uh, culture. So, with all these introduction about my dear guest, I welcome him. And I forgot to add, he is presently working as the chief value creator at Micro Marketers Noida. Today, he'll be speaking on the topic reforming education for humans, a holistic approach. A very warm welcome to you, sir, and over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Zainab. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, yes, sir, you are clearly audible.
Okay, so glad to see you. Nice weather here today in Noida. It's raining, and we're all looking forward to the end of the epidemic also.
Yes.
And today we'll be talking about something which is at the core of human existence, modern human existence, and that is education. So we'll be talking about reforming education for humankind, right? So before we proceed further, how many teachers and uh, management, school management are there in the audience? Any idea? Those of you who are in the audience, perhaps you could just raise a hand.
Sir, you won't be able to see your audience or hear them. They can just type comments and hear you. You won't be able to see them.
Dr. Zainal, if you can just have, okay, translate it over there. So now let's proceed to the agenda, what we will be discussing today. First of all, let's look at the purpose of education. Let me ask you, those of you in the audience who are teachers, who are in school management, or who are students, what do you think is the purpose of education? If you could put in a few words on YouTube Live or wherever you are, let's have some quick feedback. Normally, what people say is education is meant to give a boost to the career so that people are able to earn a living. Now, if that is the case, then we will need to have a relook at the whole thing. So we look at the purpose of the of education. We look at the current scenario. We look at the needs. We look at the signs of the times, and we look at the roadmap and what you can do as a parent, as an institution, as a teacher, or as a student. Yeah, next. So, when we were growing up, we grew up on Abraham Lincoln's letter to the teacher of his son. And in this entire letter, we most of us learnt it by rote for oration and elocution contests in school. In this entire letter, nowhere has Abraham Lincoln mentioned that his son should work for a GPA 6 or he should get admission into Harvard or whatever. He's talked of values. And those fundamental values remain hold till today. He's talked of enabling his child to have the ability to discern what is right and what is wrong. He's talked of enabling his child to learn from nature and not just learn things. He's talked of a whole lot of things. So that should give an indication of what is the real purpose of education. And Swami Sukbodananda next, please. Swami Sukbodananda, my spiritual guru, he's made a statement. The heart of education is the education of the heart. If education fails in making us better human beings, then it's not education, it's merely literacy. Next, please. So, what are the indications that our education system has failed to give us what we really need? And the first among this list is COVID. COVID has really been an eye opener. I've seen at close quarters how people, you all see all over the world, people have refused to follow civic sense, have refused to follow laws, they have refused to wear masks, they have refused to follow the lockdowns. Why? What is it that stops them from understanding what the rest of the world is understanding? There is something wrong in their education system. Maybe they have not been exposed to the values, maybe they underestimate the risk of whatever. So you see not just the individuals, even corporates. What the corporates have done, they have taken advantage of the situation, and a lot of companies have retrenched staff. And except for a few leaders like the Tatas and the Wipros and some other companies, most companies have simply given up. Yet, what is our culture? Employees have to be taken care of as families, and it has a cascading effect on the entire economy. So, individuals, companies, a whole lot of people have given up, have shown a lack of sense of responsibility, a lack of discipline, a lack of awareness and respect for other people, for civic laws, for the government, right? And this has to come from somewhere. You look furthermore at the scenario today in the corporate world. How are uh, how are companies today responding? The Vijay Mallya case is only one. There is a number of companies. There are so many under the radar who don't come in the media, and the corporate world is fed up of financial defalcation. Individual level, personal level, everywhere the companies are going bankrupt because some promoter or somewhere has decided that his needs are more important than societal or shareholder needs or employee needs. So essentially, these the times indicate that today we need to have some input from somewhere, where companies, where individuals are able to discern what is right, what is wrong, and contribute to society productively. So then we have, at the end of the day, we have, a whole lot of things. We have uh, we can go on and on, whether it's corporates or individuals or society, and the illnesses, the times are there. But at the end of the day, we can say, is it Darwin's theory into play? Are we following what Darwin said, survival of the fittest? Whenever there is overcrowding, there is going to be disease, and there is going to be war, and there is going to be destruction. And there are leaders the world over If one man reaches a position of power, a position of decision making, whether in a company or at the national level or the global level, and he can create havoc. We have seen in so many other countries invasions elsewhere because one despot, one dictator, or one corporate CEO has made a wrong decision. So, what is it? At a spiritual, philosophical level, maybe it's Darwin's theory into place. Maybe in some spiritual circles, they are even saying that in 2025, there is going to be end of the world kind of a thing. Obviously, we are not talking about doomsday cults here, but nevertheless, it's a segment of the world population which believes that. Whether or not that happens, are we geared up to reform and to move on beyond this situation, or are we going to let this overcome us and become more and more destructive? Next, please. So look at the indications around you. How many people around you, how many individuals, families, youngsters, old people feel comfortable in their life? Here is a news report recently from the Indian Express, and it says the new norm is quitting. People who are double postgraduates, people who are highly educated and in very responsible positions, are finding it unable to handle the stresses of daily life. What is going to prepare them for this? Has the education system not prepared them how to handle these stresses of life? Who will? Next, please. You look at the needs today. What are the companies? What are the individuals? What are the society, government expressing explicitly? And you have companies such as the Tatas who stand by a value system. And I was at a presentation at the Quality Council of India, and the director of Tata Sons made a presentation, and he showcased a number of companies from the Second World War onwards who became successful through unethical means, and yet while they were successful, everybody said, "Oh, this is the place to be in," and yet very soon, over a period of time, these companies went bankrupt. The owners either committed suicide or they were jailed or whatever. So the corporate world, as I said earlier, is fed up of financial defalcation. Every day, world over, there are cases. Then we have, look at today the world is the corporate world, which is a major employer for people. It says we need not just profits, we need to monitor our balance sheets according to the triple bottom line. That is the social impact, the environmental impact, in addition to the financial impact. Daniel Goleman is talking about ecological intelligence and emotional intelligence. And marketing guru Philip Kotler, who has set up the entire concept of marketing. Today, he is talking about ethical marketing practices. There is this concept of conscious capitalism, which again talks about investing, creating employment, a social responsibility of business, the social impact of business. This is what the corporate world needs. How many of our education institutions, whether at the primary level, school level, or management level, are preparing the students to meet these norms? You look at the leadership roles. Today, global corporates, when they recruit top level leaders, they will not recruit anybody who has never failed. They want the leaders to have an ability to handle failure, an ability to handle stress, because their multi-billion dollar empire will collapse if the leader under pressure makes a wrong decision. Are we as students in our schools, colleges, learning how to handle stress, how to handle failure? No, we are not. Who is going to prepare them? The world needs visionary leaders who have the ability to manage themselves, manage the people under them, and to contribute to society. Next, please. Similarly, you look at the needs of the individuals. I just showcased, there are the people who are giving up, quitting, because they are not able to handle stress. People today, they are, you know, individuals today are asking for inputs, not just, they, in the Vedic concept, they say success in life is achieved when there is harmony between the mind, the body, and the spirit. So if your body is not keeping up with you, howsoever intellectual you might be in the mind, you will not be able to be successful. Or similarly, if your spirit is weak, you will not work towards it. So, how are people going to develop this mind, body, and spirit harmony at the individual level? How will they handle stress? How will they build up relationships? There is a longest running longitudinal study conducted by the Harvard University, which is still going on and has been underway for the past 80 years. And the objective of the study was to find out from people what gives them happiness, what makes them successful. And the single most important factor which turned out is relationships. Indeed, relationships are important not only in personal life and social life, but also in corporate success, in your work life. And yet, what are we taught? I remember when we were growing up in management, we were management students. There was a book which became the norm in practice, and it was called "What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School." It was by Mark McCormack. The essence of that book was how to be street smart, how to get your way by hook or by crook. And during the early stages of my career, there was an Indian company. I will not name it, but it was selling office automation products. And they used to teach their employees, the salespeople, to get sales by either convincing the people, if not by conning them, if not by corrupting them. These are the kind of values that people had, and that company went out of the business and is now into a related business. So today we are talking about ethics. The world is talking about ethics. The world is talking about environmental protection. The world is talking about triple bottom line. The world is talking about conscious capitalism. And this is what the world needs today. We need individuals with a strong degree of integrity, a strong relationship foundation, a strong health, body, mind, spirit foundation. And that has to come from somewhere. It will not come from their own efforts only, undirected efforts only. It cannot come from parents, because parents, like anybody else, are individuals on their own right and they have not learned these things. So it can only come from an institutional framework. Next, please. So here is somebody who has
We are bringing up children with this fear. If you don't pass, you know what will happen to you? Continuously fear-based education. 18,000 children in 2015 have committed suicide in our country. Is there a worse thing than…
Sadhguru is a very well-known opinion leader, and this is what he says. I mean, it's the truth. We are bringing up students under fear of failure, under fear of future possible doom, and that is what we are sowing the seeds in their minds. In fact, talking of sowing thoughts, even from the nursery level, what are we teaching them? Look at the nursery rhymes. All the nursery rhymes are about failure, about falling down. You look at Humpty Dumpty, he fell down and had a great fall, and all the king's men could not put him together again. You look at Ringa Ringa Roses, it was a poem made during the epidemic. So, subconsciously, if you believe that your thoughts, we will come to that a bit later, this is what we are sowing, seeds of fear, seeds of failure from the very beginning. Next, please. Yeah. So, what are the individuals feeling? They are feeling insecure. They are feeling under stress. They are feeling unsure of themselves. So, what will the what will these people do when they take up jobs, when they go elsewhere? Is working the only be all and end all of life? So, thoughts, as I said, is an important factor in mind, body, and spirit harmony, and we must learn to think right. If you look at the sports psychology, how champion sports people manage their minds, they visualize success from every moment. They visualize their goals, they visualize success. And when they communicate either to others and more importantly to themselves, they give feedback in a positive manner. The way you frame your thoughts is highly important. For example, if I tell you right now, don't think of the color pink, don't think of the color pink, don't think, whatever happens, don't think of the color pink. What will you think? Pink. So, what should you actually tell yourself? Hey, if you want to think of something else, think of blue, think of blue, think of blue, right? So, but we don't do that. If we have fear in our minds, if we fear failure, what do we think? Hey, I'm going to fail. I hope I don't fail. And what will happen? Do you think the person like that will be successful? No, he will fail. This process of thinking right is a matter of habit which has to be inculcated through education. It's not something that people will learn if they are lucky or whatever, if they come across a enlightened person, maybe they will learn these things. But this is not an institutionalized way of teaching, imparting good values. So people learn to build good relationships. And what do you see? Today you see people are failures at anger management on the road, in societies, in colonies. Just every day or the other, somebody or the other is beating up people, the neighbors, or small issues, parking or whatever. People are unable to manage their egos. And this is why we are seeing a world over chaos in human relationships. This is why we are seeing disruption. This is why Darwin's theory is coming into play. This is why only the fittest will survive. Because those who are unfit are not learning the things which will make them fit for the coming world. So, next, please. So, the individual today, the concept today, which is very gaining popularity, is ikigai. Ikigai, basically, in short, is raison d'être, a reason, a purpose for existence. This is a book which is based on the lifestyles of people in Okinawa, Japan. Okinawa is supposed to be a centenarian island. Most of the people over there are above 100 years of age. And on their lifestyle, the author has drawn certain conclusions which have appealed to the world and sociologists. So basically, these are people who are living long and living happily because they are living for others, they are living with a purpose. And Ikigai involves this series of activities: communicating, being happy, communing with nature, keeping a positive environment of people and friends around you, etc. This is what people today are talking of. This is what individuals need, right? So, next, please. So, let me ask you now, what do you think is the report card of the education system? On these parameters, how many of these parameters, what percentage would you give to the education systems? Has the education system contributed to corporate success? Has the education system contributed to individual value addition? Let's look at what some opinion leaders feel. Is the education system sufficient? Is it good? Is it doing its job properly? Next, please.
A large number of people, maybe at MIT in particular, they have quite a very developed intellect in a particular area, let's say, math or physics or biology, whatever they're working on. And the intellect is very developed and controlled in that area, but that frequently does not correspond to the intellect also being developed in other areas, which on a human level might be even more important.
Next, please. Yeah. So here is a student who wants to know what is the reason why education is failing basic human needs. Why people are good at
We
math or
keep
science
on
but not.
developing material education, we ignore this. So we have got engineer making education, we have got doctor making education, finally money making education. Out of it all you get money, but we don't have human making education.
Exactly. So here is one opinion leader, a spiritual leader who feels that we are not having education to make humans. We have education for success, for growth, for money making, but not for being a better person, which is why we are not becoming better and we are becoming bitter day by day as we grow up. Next, please. And let's look at how another leader thinks of the same situation.
What the present system of education is dumping information and not working on transformation. The meaning of the word education etymologically is bringing forth, but it is more dumping in.
Right. So Swami Subodhananda feels that education is not transforming people. Education is only dumping information, as everybody says. It's dumping knowledge, information. That's all. Let's look at a third person. What does he think is the result of the education system? Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev.
That when it comes to education, we're in a cusp where our fundamental thinking about what is education needs to go through not a change, but a complete transformation.
Right. So we have students, we have leaders from various segments of society who all feel that the education system needs a transformational change. It's not sufficient. It's not giving us the required inputs. Too long have we been running after only degrees or not even knowledge, just degrees, certificates. Next, please. So here are another, and it's not just an isolated instance. There is a growing trend for homeschooling. People today have realized that real education is to be found by going out and doing things. Here are two examples of a family, an entire family in Bangalore, which has withdrawn their students from school and is traveling the country. The students are learning, the children are learning in home. They appear for the examinations through the internet in their schools, and that's all. And here's another couple. They have withdrawn their sons, and their son, through homeschooling, has become a topper, an author, and an achiever because they have realized that institutional education, if I may use the term, is not really providing education, is not providing a complete personality development, is not providing the kind of inputs that people feel they need, is not the exposure that they want, right? And that's why they are taking a step, and there's a huge market now for homeschooling. Next, please. So, what does this all indicate? It only indicates that the education system has failed. It's only giving information and it's not educating people, it's not transforming people. Unless an experience in an institution or a life experience transforms you, you do not grow. You only have more of the same information, but you don't grow in your mind, in your spirit. Maybe you just grow in your body, and even the bodies these days are unhealthy. You look at the surveys on corporate requirements. McKinsey has done a survey a number of times on the employability of youngsters who pass out from our engineering colleges, and it has found that they don't have the required, not even the communication skills. It has also highlighted the rise of lifestyle diseases. Bodies are becoming unhealthy. People, diabetes, insomnia, everywhere, anxiety, stress, which is why people are now escaping. They are going through homeschooling, they are traveling, they are saying education is not good enough, right? So, this is the report card. What is to be done next? What should we do? Where are people actually getting their inputs from? Why has the education system failed? Because the education system has limited its scope only to information. So, where are people learning their values? They are learning it from primarily the media. They are learning it not just the mass media, also the social media. They are learning it from the uh, neighbors, influencers, parents, peers, their own friends. And in international trade, there is a concept known as Americanization of the world. What happens is, I'll just take a minute to explain this. When it says that when a developed country like America, it is a producer of various products, when its markets reach saturation, the companies go out of America into other countries. So they take their brands, companies from America come to other countries, they come to India also. Now, the turnover of many of these companies is bigger than the GDP of the companies that they enter. So they will not change their brand image. Now, brand is just a perception in the mind of the customer around certain attributes. So let's say Pepsi Cola has come from US to India, and Pepsi's brand image is centered around irreverence of youth. They will not risk losing their brand image in America and their multi-million dollar company by changing the brand image in India to, let's say, docile, friendly, youthful, spiritual youngsters. No, they will not. They say it is good to be irreverent. I'm just taking an example. So this is how brand values come to developing countries. Now, how do they percolate? The mass media. They want advertising revenues. Now, when a company like Pepsi advertises, they will not advertise in a yoga magazine of Swami Ramdev or elsewhere. They will advertise somewhere where the target audience, where people who should drink their product will come. So the mass media tailors its content to attract that kind of readers. Which is why, if you have noticed, ever since newspapers in the 90s, 93, 94, whatever, when after the economy was opened up and newspapers became colored newspapers, we had black and white newspapers earlier. Since that time, the content has changed. Now you look at the content of when we were growing up, we could discuss newspapers in our family. My father would tell me to read the newspaper every day. Today we can't do that with our children because the newspapers are full of a whole lot of things which is not education. It is just a way to to attract advertising revenues, and you find a whole lot of brand values today are becoming social values. So kids want to be in a certain image, even youngsters, even adults, whether women or old senior people or men or whatever, they are just trying to live up to certain images that have been given to them by brands. And this is how the Americanization of the world happens. And this is where Abraham Lincoln's message that students must have the ability to discern right from wrong, to do their own discriminatory thinking. This is where it's most important. It's not just the brand values. You look at the media today, everybody is mocking the television media in the name of debates. What kind of values are they propagating? This is not a debate that they have on TV. This is just a way to attract attention from viewers and to save the costs of journalism, because they don't have the wherewithal to go to various places and get news. So all they have to do is ensure that people fight amongst themselves. And this has a tremendous impact. If you hear BK Shivani, she explains it beautifully in her videos. Briefly, basically, what we see in the mass media, audiovisual media, it generates the corresponding thoughts and energies within us. And when these thoughts, these energies accumulate, they become a source of energy which we focus on. So it changes our attitudes, it changes our behavior, it changes our actions, and these actions change the result. So if daily we are giving ourselves wrong thoughts through the media, how do you think we are going to live our life in a contented and happy way? Next, please. So if this is the source of education, what should the education system do to counterbalance it? If the education system is not going to provide merely information and knowledge, what should it do? Abraham Lincoln's points are there, but briefly speaking, today here I put forward before you certain parameters. We need to have individuals who are well rounded, who know first of all to manage their mind. In various scriptures, it's written that at the end of the day, whether you hear motivational speakers like Robin Sharma or anybody, or you look at scriptures, at the end of the day, it all boils down to perspective. And perspective happens in the mind. What you see is what you get. In some ways, it's the other side of the coin of focus. Let's say I can ask you, those of you who are there, wherever you are, this was a very wonderful revealing exercise given by Swami Subodhananda in his workshops. I can ask you to stand wherever you are and just turn around. And quickly I'll ask you to look at something around your room in a matter of seconds. So just turn, and look at the color blue. You've seen blue, right? So again do it. Turn, look around you and see the color pink. Most of you will see a color pink. Now let me ask you the question. The first time when I told you to see the color blue, did you see the color pink? You would say no. Why? Because you would say you were focused. Yes, you were focused, but you got what you were looking for. And that is why very often we even in relationships we have misunderstandings, because we see something. If you look at faults, you will see the thing is faulty. It's like a glass half full or half empty. What you see in life will determine your attitudes, your thoughts. It will determine your actions, and those actions will determine your destiny. So you must first of all learn to see right, change your perspective by changing your thoughts, and this requires managing your mind. It requires an ability to be objective, and you can be objective when you are not attached, which is why the entire spiritual process of not having attachments, whatever. So that's beyond the point for the moment. So mind management is important. We need individuals with good relationships. We need individuals who are able to contribute to nation building and not just self aggrandizement. We need people who are conscious of not just their rights but also their responsibilities. Like in COVID, how many of us were responsible? There were people who knew they had COVID and they traveled in flights and trains, spreading the virus elsewhere. We've all read that in news reports. Why? Where is that education system failing? So we need that. We need people who can contribute to their own local level community. But here, what actually is every man for himself. Is there's no sense of community, right? We need individuals who have the ability to change, as Abraham Lincoln said, to be happy when they are sad, and to make other people around them happy. But actually, what we are doing just the reverse. We are making everybody around us annoyed, right? So next, please. What do we do? Is this a tall order? Is this something too much to do? I'm sure a lot of you would be wondering, yes, we need that, but this is not something that is easy to do. And I'm here to tell you it is not very difficult either. All it requires is just 3 or 4 basic things. And the number one on the list is meditation. Now, let me tell you first of all that meditation is not something which is religious. Although the practice and the teaching of meditation does involve certain, in some processes, some organizations, some ways of meditation, there is a religion associated with it. But in essence, there are various meditation practices, such as transcendental meditation or Raj Yoga, whatever, where it is totally secular. So it's basically a process of shutting down your conscious thinking. When you reduce your conscious thinking, you enhance access to the, let's say, the universe, the cosmic energy. When you reduce conscious thinking, you reduce all the diseases, since 90% of the diseases are psychosomatic. They come from the thoughts. So you improve your health, you enhance your creativity because you're not stressing and fretting about something. You can be more productive, you can be more creative, you are more objective, and therefore you have better relationships around you. So all the things that we mentioned, meditation has 101 benefits, and it saddens my heart to know that in a world where India gave the world meditation, we have to tell Indians the benefits of meditation. And today it's a couple of $1 trillion industry worldwide. World over leaders, people, corporate honchos, wherever, whoever, ordinary people, they have explored the benefits of meditation. In countries as far as Norway, you'll find there's a form of meditation where they pick up a word from the dictionary, a random word from the dictionary, and use that to just meditate. You can simply sit in a relaxed position and just watch your breath. That is meditation. It will reduce your thoughts, right? So meditation is a tool which is underexplored by our country, and I firmly believe it should be made mandatory for every human being on earth. Once you meditate, you will automatically know what is right, what is wrong, how to be creative, how to be productive. You will manage your mind, your relationships better, and you will do well. And there are n number of cases. Time magazine has carried cover stories on meditation 6 times in the past 6 decades. So many other publications world over are covering it, right? So meditation, I will not go more into that. Please take the trouble. I implore you to see various meditative practices, read more about it, hear more about it on TED, YouTube, Many universities have done research on the benefits of meditation. There are also physiological benefits. Okay, so please explore that. The second thing is yoga and pranayam. Now here I am mentioning Hatha Yoga because the other three forms of yoga, Raj Yoga, etc., they have a certain religious connotation, but Hatha Yoga is nothing but exercise. Westerners have given English names to it based around animals, cow pose, dog pose, whatever. So if you feel that the Sanskrit names have a religious connotation, fine, you can call them whatever. But do those exercises. They have been proven to calm your mind and to improve your health holistically from within, to enhance your immunity. We all need better immunity these days, right? So, this yoga, pranayam, meditation, and thirdly, music. For a world which is supposed to have come from sound, in fact, the entire cosmic origin is supposed to have come from sound. We have precious little focus on sound in our education system, and there has been a tremendous amount of a lot of body of research on the benefits of music. Music heals people. There are wonders. People have come out from coma. People have uh, improved their Alzheimer's. So many diseases. They have enhanced their creativity, productivity. So many health issues have improved merely by listening and playing music. In fact, in Western classical music, Mozart's music, in particular his composition in C minor, there has been research to show that a 12-minute, if you play 12-minute Mozart music in C minor, children creativity of children in schools has been shown to increase. Their spatial awareness has been shown to increase. And the same goes for Indian classical music. Our ragas were based on certain values, certain premises, right? So these are three things which should be made mandatory in schools. And believe me, these three things alone will transform people. Imagine 3 years down the line. Today, when I go to school, I find so many school teachers and principals complaining that they have a particular batch of rowdy students, and these people have come up and they are creating disruption across the school. So, what is to be done now? Now, if these students had been taught the yoga and pranayam from the very beginning, from the primary and secondary classes, they would have not come to this stage. If they had been taught meditation, they would have not come to this stage. And there is no option but to use these tools, meditation and music and yoga and pranayam, because you cannot, individual teachers cannot teach all those life skills that we just discussed. They cannot teach mind. After all, we'll come to see that later in the future slides. They are also individual human beings, and they have nobody has mastered his mind. So you need a process which is independent of the abilities of the teachers, and that process is having meditation. That process is substituting PT classes with yoga and pranayam. PT is a legacy of the British education system. In fact, the entire education system is their legacy. Right? Next, please. So, if you think this is too little, let's see what Sadhguru is doing in some schools.
Samskriti, where the only 6 subjects they study are yoga, Kalari Paitu, you heard of Kalari Paitu? It's a mother of all martial arts, classical dance, classical music, Sanskrit language and English language. These are only 6 things they study, no academics. If you want to see really, truly fantastic children anywhere, you must come and see these children. Because the focus is just on growing human body, and human brain to its full potential without any intention, what will you become? We never ask them. Will you become a doctor? Will you become an engineer? See, these are all social things, these are not real things. From my own experience.
Right. So basically, the idea is to develop the potential of the human being. Once the person becomes capable, he will find a way. We are today training people for specific jobs. When I started my career, when I was in graduation, we had at that time there were so many courses on stenography and typing. Where is typing and stenography today? We all use computers. I started my career, and that time I remember there used to be processions by typists. They said computers are coming. We will not take computers. It will increase us our workload. Today, where are typists? Where are plumbers? Where are drivers? Today now, Google, all these companies have come out with self-driven cars. So drivers' jobs are at stake. So let's not train people for vocations. Let's not give them specific inputs. Let's simply build up their potential, and they will find a way to contribute to society and not just to earn money for themselves and their families. Next, please. So, what do we do? How do we go about building these skills? As I said, the tools are the same: meditation, music, yoga, and pranayam. Now we need to incorporate this in our education policy so that everywhere in in all the schools across the country we have tools like these. We have a national value system. There is no sense of nationalism in India, and I'm using nationalism in the right sense, not in a narrow religion sense. Like other countries, they have a sense of belonging. People over there have a sense of belonging, a sense of identity with the country. We have a sense of identity with our religion, our community, our town, our village, our dog, but nothing but the country. What is this? So we need to have an education system that builds a sense of ikigai, a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging. There are so many case studies after the Second World War. People in Japan, they stopped buying American products. We hear of people in Germany and elsewhere, they stopped buying products of other countries, and they build their own. We had attack from a neighbor some time back, and I was talking to somebody, a businessman, who was importing jewelry parts from China. And I said, "Why are you doing this? China is not a friend of the country." And he said, "If I don't import it, somebody else will." So if this is the value system you have no sense of nationalism. You are only thinking of your own growth. How will the country grow? How will we stay united? Why is it that 65% of people today in Punjab are youngsters today in Punjab are drug addicts? They have no sense of purpose. They have no sense of responsibility. They are just falling prey to the mafia, the corporate mafia, the mafia elsewhere, drug mafia, whatever. Right? So we need in the education system certain uniform value system. We need a spirit of nationalism. We need uniform life skills to be taught in schools across the country. And these life skills we just discussed earlier, we need the education system to have offer a means of self-expression, whether it is through arts, through music, through sports. They should be included in the education system for credits, for degrees, for certifications, because these are essential to human development. But we don't teach them because they are not supposedly required for jobs. Yet we have seen there are people today who are teaching schools where children are learning only personality development. Sanskrit, English, Kalaripayattu, and whatever, music and yoga. Because that is where, once you learn to manage your mind and you become a better, more creative and productive person, you can do anything. You will contribute to society on your own, right? So this has to be incorporated in the education system. And of course, content can be tailored. So if in South India you want specific content, you eulogize your history, fine. You want the language to be your own state language, fine, that can also be there. But at least the rest of the uniformity should be there. We have today not one India, we have 29 different Indian cultures. Every state has its own culture, plus we have our own communities and religions. People identify with them more than with the country. Next, please. So, what should the we have seen what the government should do. Now, what should the schools and colleges and universities do? So, they have to incorporate these three tools, first of all, in their education system. You play music, in between, you have prayer sessions in the morning, in the before the school and starts. You replace that with meditation sessions before and after school, 10-12 minutes of meditation. Substitute PT with yoga and pranayam. Have music classes. In every class, every student expose them to 12 minutes of classical music, instrumental music, soft music, in between, while they are studying through overhead systems or whatever. And look at the increased productivity. Look at the, in a few years, you will find a drastic change in the quality of people that are coming out of schools. You will find no longer McKinsey will say that, hey, people, engineering graduates or whatever, do not have employable skills. Okay. So, in addition to that, you need to train the teachers. If the teachers do not grow, how will the students grow? As I said earlier, teachers are also individuals. They have also, like the rest of us, not mastered their mind. But if they understand the importance of the process and the process of mind management, they can teach it and convey the need and the significance to their students. Okay, so in addition to that, the institutions must learn to develop the content in a way that is, as I said earlier, communicated in a enhancing positive way. You find so many teachers berating their students for non-performance. And we just saw the earlier example, like sports psychology. When if you want some performance to be done, you reinforce that idea rather than reinforcing the idea of failure. Right? So teachers need to be trained. The content has to be communicated accordingly. The tools of meditation, the music and yoga and pranayam have to be given to the students. They have to be corrected when they have to be given opportunities to do projects where they will learn to be independent. We dump information, we dump homework. Children don't do the homework, their parents do the homework, and the parents get the marks in the answer books. And this is not a way to grow up. So you give projects where children can do the assignments on their own. They will fail. Teach them to handle failure. Right? Teach them to be independent. Teach them to form teams. Teach them to learn and work together with others. We need team building skills today in the knowledge economy, and we find that Indians are not team players because they have not learned. They have learned to compete. We tell them always be better than the other. We don't tell them become better than yourself tomorrow than what you are today. We say, no, this person has got better marks. The neighbor's son, your cousin, whatever, has got better marks. So you have to be better than him. That's it. And what happens if people cannot become better than the other person? They cannot bring themselves up to be better. So they pull the other person down. And this is why Indians are often associated with crabs in the international trade. And I remember when I was a student of international trade, many years back. 25 years back, there was this study of a person who exports crabs from India. And in order to save on costs of packaging, he used to export them in open cargo, open cartons, boxes. They were open at the top. So the importer over there asked him, why is it that none of these crabs escape? And this guy says these are Indian crabs. Whenever one of them tries to escape, the others grab hold of his leg and pull him down. And this is what is happening in the corporate world. Because you cannot be better than the other person, you cannot see him becoming better than you, so you pull him down. So you form groups, you turn to politics. You don't see, you don't appreciate what is good, and you appreciate who is good to you. That's all. So we need to give them the ability at the school level to form teams, to take up projects, to learn to fail, to learn to manage their mind, to be happy when they are sad. Right? These are the things that children need to be taught in schools, not merely information. Okay, next please. Will this be possible? What do you think are the challenges in this endeavor? I'll be happy if you can communicate some feedback. But these are a few things that I've identified, and the number one thing is today education has become commercial. It is no longer driven by ideology. There was a time when people wanted to become teachers because they were passionate about teaching, about building up the potential of people. There still are a lot of people like that who give up their jobs and who are teaching, people in rural areas and elsewhere and on their own. And you have seen, of course, the movie Super 30 or whatever. So hats off to such people. But nevertheless, by and large, in the commercial education world, we have teachers, we have school management driven purely by profit, by commerce. I'm a management consultant and I approached a well known school here. Uh, not a school, it's a university offering a lot of professional courses. So I talked with the director. I said, look, education also needs branding like foreign universities, and I can help you to brand your institute in a better way. And he said, look, my chairman calls me up every day in the morning, and he has only two questions to ask, or rather, only one thing to ask. What are the number of new admissions today? So we are only focused on recruiting people. In order to meet the numbers, because we need the numbers to justify our costs, we are getting our students from coaching classes, coaching institutes, elsewhere on a commission basis. Commission agents give us the students. The quality of these students is not good because they come from commission agents and we need the numbers. We don't have good students, so we don't have good teachers. We don't have good students, we don't have good teachers, so why do we need branding? Point well taken. But then if this is the ideology behind schools, behind institutions, how do you think that will percolate down to the students? So the other thing is we often feel that the parents who are driven by a need for their wards to get admission into foreign universities or various courses or whatever, so they will rebel, they will protest. And because you need the customers, because you need the parents, so you will compromise on your ideology. Fine. Again, if you are commerce driven, you will follow that. But then again, it's a choice you have to make. And what choices you make today will impact the choices that the society makes tomorrow. Okay. So these are the challenges, where which will stop. And most importantly, it's about mindset. Can it be done? Oh no, it's very difficult. Oh no, it'll add to our workload. Oh no, Why should I go for it? Oh no, this is all woolly stuff. This is not practical. And yes, it will not appeal to everybody because, as they say, you can see only things at the level at which you are vibrating. Even Einstein said that E is equal to mc squared. The frame of reference that you have, that is what you see. Depends upon what frequency you are vibrating at. So to some people, it will be just rubbish. But for those of you who do see value in it, it will be a possibility. It will be possible. And for those who don't, let me tell you something else. It's not merely a question of Darwin's theory coming into existence and survival of the fittest. It's also not a question of the world coming to an end. It's also a question for the survival of the education system. A lot of corporate sector companies have closed down during COVID. What is to say your schools will not close down? Why? Because people today have learned the benefit of online education. Companies have learned it. Many companies have said that they will not bring back people into their offices again. Just a couple of minutes. Many
Sir,
people.
I would like to interrupt you to wind up, please. It's been an hour. Just a gentle
Just
reminder.
yeah. So your schools, because students. Next, please. Yeah, we'll discuss this in the next slide. So schools will close down because students have learned. People have learned. We have already seen homeschooling is coming up. We have seen people are learning on online. What is to say that people will not withdraw these awards from their schools and they will not do homeschooling? Okay. And secondly, a lot of schools have started robotics and artificial intelligence. There's a school in Bangalore which is using robots to assist teachers today. Tomorrow, what is to say robots will not teach students? So as a teacher, you have to do something which the robots and artificial intelligence cannot do, and that is build up the personality of the students. As a parent, don't focus only on the vocational skills, on numbers and degrees. Don't be afraid. Don't give energies of failure to yourself and to your student. Don't give negative thoughts of failure. As Swami Subodhananda says, success in life depends upon what? Depends upon life skills. But we chase success, we don't chase life skills. Okay, so focus on the life skills, give them the opportunity, and that's it. Next, please. And as a student, what do you do? As a teacher, we have seen you will lose your job if you let the robots and the artificial intelligence take over. They will do a better job of dumping information and knowledge. You have to do something which they cannot do. Okay, and as a student, what do you have to do? You have to focus on building life skills. If you don't have the opportunity in your institution, ask your parents to put pressure on the school. You put pressure on the school. Go out and learn them on your own, online, offline, wherever you get the opportunity. Learn from books. Okay, that's about it. I hope I've been able to communicate the significance of this thing. And even if some people learn or wake up, it will be a much needed step. Thank you so much. Good luck. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, Rajesh, sir, for such an amazing and interesting session. I'm sorry I was forced to interrupt you, but that was by the end of your session. All through, I was taking notes and jotting down points from the session that you gave. So I hope my fellow teachers who have been watching us all through have also made their notes and taken down the points which sir has given, and they'll take note of it and inculcate these very interesting habits in their children of doing yoga and listening to music. You stop your children from listening to music because you say that they are wasting time. Rather, it is a kind of relaxant for them. Their brains develop by listening to music. When you ask them to do yoga, you make it compulsory thing for them to do yoga. Just make it let them go with the flow. Like their body start demanding them to do yoga. Just make it a habit for them, or teaching dance to them, or classical Indian dances, dance forms. Like these dance forms were for the brain development of the people. So this education system need a reform, and slowly and gradually we all can bring these reforms into our system. That is what I have to say on this session. Rest, you all have heard what Mr. Narula has said. So I would like to thank Mr. Narula for giving us such an amazing and interesting session, and I would like to thank my audience for being all there with us all through and listening to us.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much, sir. Have a lovely evening. Bye.
You too. Bye.